Check 1 2. Check 1 2. 1 2 3. Check check. Check 1 2. 1 2 3. Check check check. Check check 1 2. You went back that way. Check 1 2. 1 2 3. Check check check. Test 1 2. Check 1 2. One two 1 2 3. 1 2. 1 2. Check 1 2. 1 2 3. Check check check. Test 1 2. 1 2 3. Test test 1 2. Check 1 2. Test 1 2 3. Check check 1 2. 1 2. Phone's not coming through. Check 1 2 3. Check 1 2. Test 1 2. 1 2 3. Check check. Test 1 2. Test 1 2 3. Check check 1 2. Check check. Test 1 2. Check 1 2 3. A little bit. Test. Check. Good evening, Mr. Trask. 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2 1 2 3. Check 1 2. Check. Test test. 1 2 1 2.
Good. How you doing, Doug? That was awesome. So that special magistrate hearing went till like 7 o'clock the other night. I left about 6:30. Pretty thorough. Well, there were a lot of people here. A lot of people wanted to give their input. Special magistrate took more time than I think that went out of his way to make them feel comfortable, and so we'll see what happens on the briefing and so forth on the special exception. Okay, so we have 21 days to do the briefing on that. It was just an interesting day. I really thought it was going to be done much sooner. We had a lot of evidence to get in. There were like 40 pages of documents. How are you doing? One of the code enforcement cases. And that's a big deal to go through them and make sure that they're all approved up. And yeah, I thought it went well. We'll see when the orders come out, though. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. I want to make sure we go through those like a fine-tooth comb. Yep, and then we've got a conference call tomorrow at 3 o'clock, I think. Yeah, I know it's tomorrow. I don't know what time, but it's not on the schedule. Okay, well, we'll talk tomorrow. All the appointments kind of blended. Okay, well, I won't take too much of your time. Oh, no, I'm trying to remember what it was. I think we're talking about those FEMA applications. Oh, okay, good. Yeah. And good. We need to get those moving. Right. They've kind of been in a hold pattern for a number of years. So. Right. Yeah. Okay. Other things that we'll go over with this, and maybe after you. All right, sounds good. All right, well, I'll be available. Okay. And the lead fires and breaking away where we want to put the time drive. Look at other options that we have, but come to find out, and looking at the file to get another copy. New lease extending the one that expires in 2022. Actually passed by the commission or 2007. So that commission has bound our hands of this commission. I didn't know if that was legal. Yeah, it is a contract. It is a contract, and so what you want to do is maybe, I mean, if it's really in our way, is to maybe try to work out some solution where maybe they put it here on this property, or maybe on take it over Rock Park, or move it in around the area that it's in currently. But obviously, they may be saying, well, we want to extend it a little bit further, and we want some money for whatever cost to move it. So.
Yeah.
Everybody else. Okay. That's okay.
Test, 1, 2. Test.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. 1, 2.
Carter, are you ready?
How you doing?
Test.
Okay. You're going to bring that to the attention of the commission? Yeah. Yeah, you should, because the public need to know that too. Okay.
You are muted.
Okay, thank you.
You are unmuted.
It's 5:32, June 24th, 2020. I call this commission meeting, special meeting to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Mayor Hendricks,
Here.
Vice Mayor Andrews,
Here.
Commissioner Price, Commissioner Hodges,
Here.
Commissioner Douthat.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I had communication with Commissioner Douthat today. Unfortunately, he has COVID-19 and he's under a 2-week quarantine. Normally there's HIPAA regulations and we can't release that, but he wanted everybody to know that this is a reality within our city and hopefully everybody takes it seriously.
Thanks for letting us know. It just goes to show that everybody needs to follow the rules on this and especially out on the beach where everybody's getting very close. We need to follow the guidelines, so we wish him the best. First on tonight's special meeting is public comment. Mr. Pricer, do you have any public comments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have one public comment that came in from the community. It is from Mr. William Gay of Madeira Beach and reads as follows. On June 18th, Commissioner Andrews conducted a town hall meeting in the manner of a, quote, kangaroo court without inviting the consulting CRI auditor or former city manager Evans to testify and respond to questions from residents. Shortcomings in the town hall included marina improvements recommended in the audit and implemented by former city manager Evans were not mentioned. When called to testify at the town hall meeting, Dave Marsicano, former marina director, disparaged the audit report. However, when asked to comment on the draft report as the marina director, he declined. Commissioner Andrews exhibited the meeting attitude toward women who asked questions and made comments about the audit. The Board of Commissioners majority plans published a revised summary of the report that exonerates Crawford and Marsicano for any mis- or malfeasance. A citizen/marina customer testified to the lack of sound operating practices. He described it as a very sloppy and loose operation. Examples include fuel discounts without proof of residency or commercial registration, multiple combined fuel discounts, fuel discounts to Boat USA members, no cameras on the fuel pumps to observe self-pumping and confirm payment. When the marina received a $500,000 loan to upgrade the marina, it would have been an opportune time to install an automated fuel pump cash register system. Andrews readily agreed it was a loose operation. As an observer of the marina for nearly a decade, I saw many sloppy practices. Marina personnel not monitoring the boat ramp to ensure safety or to collect launch fees. No active plan by marina staff to encourage marina patrons to pump out their waste tanks. The waste tank pump was not advertised and was seldom used by fuel patrons or liveaboard renters. Marsicano and Crawford made little or no effort to run a tidy operation. Examples include some boats and trailers were not licensed. Other boats on trailers with flat tires. For months, a boat was tied to a palm tree to keep it from falling off its flat-tired trailer. Cars with for sale signs were parked at the front of the marina, the gateway to the city. City Manager Evans implemented an improvement plan for the marina, and from what I have observed, some problems uncovered by the audit have been corrected. However, more could be done to get the marina on solid financial and operational footing. End of comments.
Are there any other public comments? Okay, we move on to agenda item topics. A, approval of professional services contracts for RFQ 20-03.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. We're here to request approval to enter contracts with multiple consultants for varying professional services as described in RFQ 20-03. The RFQ was originally advertised on February 12th, 2020, and the city received 37 statements of qualifications, or SOQs. The SOQs were then reviewed and then resulted in a short list of up to 5 consultants per discipline. The shortlisted firms were then invited to present to the evaluation committee, which was formed by 3 city staff members. The presentations were up to 55 minutes each and took place over a 7-day period. Each presentation was then scored by the evaluation committee and then came up with the final rankings, which are being presented to you today. It's beneficial for the city to have multiple consultants on contract in order to utilize each firm's specialized and unique knowledge and expertise. It will also provide additional flexibility and availability for having multiple projects running concurrently. It is recommended that the Board of Commissioners approve the contracts with the firms listed for the professional services for a term of 3 years with the option of 2 one-year renewals beginning today, June 24th, 2020. I do also want to mention that during review this morning, I noticed that one of the exhibits in the contract was there was an error in one of the sheets, and I've provided the commission and the board with the updated and revised rate sheet, and that will be reflected once the final contracts are executed. So I'm here for any questions if you guys have any.
Which sheet number? I don't, it's in, so it's for the same consultant that's on 3 different disciplines. I don't have the exact number within the sheet. The only difference was the calculation in the last column, so the rate with multiplier, there's an error in those calculation cells. So I believe the first 5 or so cells just got copied incorrectly down. So the information provided by the consultant didn't change. It was just an error on the calculation side.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I just have one comment. You know, I have been in the past critical of the lack of professionalism of staff in certain occasions, but this is fantastic, Jamie. Really, really good work, man. I know you obviously put in a lot of time on this and a lot of effort, and my goodness, I'm almost blown away from some of the stuff that I see up here from time to time, but this is really, really good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Is there any public comment on this item? Bob?
Robert Preston, 425 South Bay Shore Drive. I just had one comment. When I was looking at all the professional services, I didn't see anywhere where it had cost per hour or anything like that. Did I miss it?
Yeah, Jamie's going to get with you.
So the cost per hour is within Exhibit B of the contracts. So the rate with the multiplier will be, it's dependent on each scope of work. So, as an example, you'll have, when they present their scope of works, they'll have each position title, and then they'll give an estimate of what they expect that person to be working on the project. And then that will then correlate with their hourly rate that's shown in these Exhibit Bs. And that's, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Was that in the packet, Exhibit B?
Yes.
Okay, then I missed it. I'm sorry.
Jamie, a quick one to piggyback off that. Do they give you an estimate when you go into this of what, or is it strictly on an hourly basis for whatever it takes?
So they will provide, within their scope of work, along with a price, they provide the estimated hours. And, within this Exhibit B, there's not a lot of room for negotiation. So that's where the negotiation will come in, is, you can kind of, talk about if, employee B really needs to spend 8 hours on this task or those kind of items. So once that's agreed upon, that's the price. There's no overtime pay that the city is responsible for.
Any further discussion? If there's no other discussion, may I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve RFQ 20-03.
Second.
Mr. Mayor, I would just ask too that we modify the motion just a little bit, and maybe it would be to move staff recommendation. It's not just to approve the RFQ, but it's also to approve the contracts associated with the RFQ. So if you move staff recommendation, that would encompass that. So I would suggest if the vice mayor could do that, it would make the lawyer feel a little bit more comfortable.
Okay.
So
Okay, help me out here, Tom.
All right,
Okay.
the staff recommendation is on page 5 of 313.
There it is. Okay, I was looking for it. I saw it before, I couldn't find it. Okay, I make a motion for the approval of RFQ 20-03 and to accept the recommendation of staff to approve the contracts with the firms listed above for professional services for a term of 3 years with the option of 2 one-year renewals beginning June 24th, 2020.
And I'll second.
Will the clerk call the roll?
Vice Mayor Andrews?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges?
Yes.
Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Mayor Hendricks,
Yes. Motion failed, passed, sorry about that, 4-0. So we stand adjourned at 5:44.
George Young Company, what is it? Yeah. Oh, did you, 85, okay, and the last page, 313. something that they could do, and I just said, you know what, just, you have something to report. But I would like to see the manager report. Oh, yeah, that's a problem, yeah.
It is Wednesday, June 24th, 2020, or 2020, yep, same thing, 6 PM. Will the clerk call the roll?
Mayor Hendricks,
Here.
Vice Mayor Andrews,
Here.
Commissioner Price,
Here.
Commissioner Hodges,
Here.
Public comment. Next order of business is public comment. Mr. Pricer, do you have any email?
Mr. Mayor, we do not have any emails. We do have 4 citizens who are online watching us through Zoom. None of them have raised their hand to offer public comment. Therefore, we're under the impression that they are listening to the meeting only. Thank you.
Thank you. Topics for discussion, city manager. Oh, okay. I didn't recognize you with your mask on back there.
Sorry, incognito. Is this on, or do I need to turn this on?
It should be on.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor Hendricks and commissioners and staff. My name is David Slosser. I am a resident of 949 Crystal Drive on Crystal Island. And I'd like to address excessive property restrictions in the R1 30-foot water setbacks. Long story short, I received a notice of code violation for a structure in my backyard. And at first I thought, well, I don't have a structure. In talking to code enforcement and zoning, the code reads that there will be no structures in the 30-foot water setback, but the operating city definition of structure is anything that is built and attached to the ground. And using that definition of bird bath, stepping stones, landscape edging, they could all be a definition of a structure. So I did some research. The purpose of the interior lot, for example, 30 inches, is specified as vegetation control. The purpose of the 30-foot setback on the water is not spelled out, but everyone that I've talked to agrees that the purpose must be to preserve an openness in the city and to preserve views from adjacent properties. So accordingly, the code was written to prohibit structures using the ordinary accepted meaning no building-like assemblies such as sheds, gazebos, shelters, usually characterized by a roof and perhaps walls, which would in fact block views. I concluded that the city definition of structure, as it applies to the 30-foot setback, must have morphed over time from something building-like to basically everything except plants. And this restricts property rights for no identifiable purpose or logic that I could think of. Fortunately for me, Linda Portal was gracious enough to come out and visit the scene of my crime. And after seeing the issue firsthand and discerning the code or discussing the code, she suggested that the code should be changed, and that I should come here and talk to the Board of Commissioners. So I'm asking the Board of Commissioners to direct a review of the code for excessive property rights infringement for no identifiable logic, specifically related to the definition of structure as it affects the 30-foot setback on R1 property, water properties. And second, I'm asking my code violation be stayed until the code review is finished, and that my held permit for a paver project be released since it's independent of the violation. And I
Time
have
is up.
handouts
Thank you.
for the board that I can give the city clerk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Sorry about that, but my glasses are fogging up because of my mask. I didn't see you back there. Okay, topics for discussion. City Manager, will you announce the changes in the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. We have two topics that are of a lot of interest in reference to our residents, so it was suggested to move them forward. The first topic is increasing the fines for littering on the beach.
I'm usually the one that says turn on the mic. Sorry. We have two topics that are of interest from our residents, and it was suggested to move them forward since I would imagine some of the individuals are here to speak about them. One of them is increasing the fines for littering on the beach. And the second one is the public-private partnerships involving pocket parks. So if you want to check with the commission, Mr. Mayor, and see if they don't have any objections, and we can take those two first.
Yes, does the commission have any objection to the changes?
No.
Okay, item H, increase fines for littering on the beach. And this is one I wanted on here because I've been out there walking the beaches, picking up trash and getting thoroughly frustrated. And if people in this day and age don't know that you don't litter, there's something wrong. So anyhow, I'd like to open this up to public comment, if there's any public comment out.
My name is Audrey Severe, and I live at 201 East Madeira Avenue. 3 years ago, my next door neighbor and I had a manatee give birth behind our house. The next day, we had a rainstorm. Our intercoastal area was full of debris. We started picking up trash. That's when we decided we needed to pick up the trash on the streets and in the beach. And that's how the trash pirates started. And all of you know that we go and do a cleanup every month, but what you don't know is there are several people that clean up on a daily basis. I myself picked up 3 grocery bags of trash on our beach today. On Monday, it was 4, and there's 4 to 5 of us girls, and we all pick up the same amount of bags. So that's 16, 18 bags of trash. What can we do about it? I don't know. Maybe more signage, maybe no warnings. We hit them with a fine first. More trash cans. I think we need to work as a community to figure out how we're going to address this trash problem. And there's such an awareness, and there's so many people, it's kind of contagious. There's so many people that want to help and keep our city clean. Our goal, Candy and my goal, was to have Madeira Beach the cleanest coastal town in Pinellas County. And I hope we can achieve it with increasing the fines. Even if you can't increase the fines, just more violation. People are given more tickets, and maybe more public awareness that we're not going to tolerate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob?
I agree with, people don't need second chances for littering.
Bob, can you state your name?
Oh, Robert Preston, 425 South Bay Shore Drive, Madeira Beach. People don't need second chances for littering. And inherently, I think people are pretty lazy when you go out there on the beaches. So, and the trash cans are usually at the entrances into the, to the beach area from the walkways. And I know doesn't make a really pretty sight, but if maybe some of those trash cans in there, make them weighted so they don't blow around, that they're closer, like halfway between high water and the beach entrance and stuff like that. So people can, it's very obvious to see, and they might utilize them a little bit more. I don't know if that's just an idea to try to get people to put their trash in the trash cans. But like I say, they don't need a second chance. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Tom Edwards, Madeira Beach resident, protected address. There is a state statute that governs littering, and most communities used to have city ordinances that govern it. And having a sign or an ordinance that covers littering on any public street, right-of-way, beach would be excellent. The issue is going to be, how do you enforce it? It's more easier on the street. As you're driving down, a deputy sees someone litter, they can easily enforce it. But out at the beach, someone's not going to go ahead and toss a can, typically if you got a deputy driving along the beach. So, is there a way we can craft it where if someone had their camera, their cell phone and videotaped it, then would we be able to call a deputy and go ahead and issue a notice to appear at that time, some type of citation? I'm just thinking it's going to be very difficult to enforce on the beach if that's your main goal. And thinking about how you can craft that, maybe working with the sheriff's office might be some way that we can craft it that will be workable. That's all.
Thank you. Jeff.
Mayor, Commissioners, Jeff Beggins, 429 Boca Ciega Drive. I love this, seeing on this, because just being a resident business owner in town and from a real estate perspective, it's somewhat embarrassing from being involved in some of the cleanups and trash pirates. I just want to make sure that it's not just the beach, right? Because there's been literally thousands of cigarette butts on the side of the street and all that. And I think all it's going to take is a couple people getting a $500, $1,000, whatever the maximum fine we can do without going crazy, to make people say, whoa. And then that will spread quickly. Just like I know there's certain towns in the state, that you don't speed through, right? You've got Waldo, you've got all those places going up to Gainesville, Stark. There's things they just have just people know. And then if a couple people start getting big fines, it's going to start to spread, and you're just going to know that Madeira Beach, maybe we just act as if right now Madeira Beach, the cleanest beach in Florida, right? Maybe that's part of the signs that say what the ordinance number is, and then it just is. So there's a justification. So I'm all for this. I'd love to see you guys go as stiff as you can, and that'll spread around quickly, and let's make it the most beautiful beach we can. That's all.
Thank you. Is there any comment from the commission on this?
Well, what's our fine now?
It's a code violation. So normally it would be handled through a warning, and then as it progresses up, I'm not sure what the county's fine structure is. Corey?
It could be anywhere from $93 to $118 for the county, but by Florida statute, it's by weight.
Can you speak into the microphone, please?
By Florida statute, littering is by weight, and the minimum by statute, I believe, is $100 and any weight. And there's intent with the Florida littering statute, and there's actually some remedies prior to issuing a citation that can be completed or they're cited. So that being said, and I was looking up the ordinance, the city ordinance about littering, and I'm not seeing the fine unless it's somewhere else. There's not one on there. So yeah, the city ordinance, I don't see a fine attached to it, but under the city ordinance,
back a page here. It is, let's see here. Yeah, 33, and with littering on private property or littering in public places, use of receptacles required. So it outlines that you shall not throw or deposit litter in or upon any street, sidewalk, or other public place within the city except in public receptacles or in authorized private receptacles for collection of such material. So that needs to be cleaned up, added some, see if we want to add, you know, a city fine, but the state is 100. So, and sometimes it's not so much that we're not trying to enforce the statute for littering, but we just don't catch them doing it. And we're driving down, we watch them. They're very conscientious when we're out there. They see us. It's at the end of the day when they're packing up their stuff or not taking their belongings with them when they leave, that the problem, we find it after the fact. So, and same thing with dogs and stuff. They're very agreeable when they see us and we tell them no glass and then, you know, fill your holes if we see really big stuff. But it's just when we're not there, when they're leaving at the end of the night, so that they leave the stuff behind. And then we have a large accumulation at the trash bins that are near the beach access points. We can't leave the trash can out in the middle of the sand because it violates the leave no trace. So all that stuff has to be brought back up. So that unfortunately would be contrary to the code that we have of leaving obstructions on the beach. So that's why we can't have the cans in the middle of the sand. So we have to have them up by the dunes, like the beach chairs are supposed to be all back up by the dunes also. So that unfortunately wouldn't work. But like I say, by statute, we have the language there. The fine is $100 minimum.
And that notice is on the sign, right?
I was just talking to Jamie about it. I think they're going to clean up some of the language on the signs. I think the plan is to get more signs affixed at every beach access point. So, I mean, at minimum, I try to do at least 2 runs. The morning run is, we also have deputies that have 4-wheel drive. So when the beach is busy and trying to get a Tahoe down the beach, it's difficult. We do have the gator down there. We encourage those guys when they're not too busy to get on the cart, which Shannon and I will drive during the day, at least twice a day. So, and that's when we talk to all the people up and down. So we do have enforcement out there, but I mean, we don't have somebody out there 24/7, you know, patrolling our 1.7 beach. We try to get out there at least in the morning and afternoon to show some presence. So.
Is there any way that a sign could be placed where the can is? Like, I know there's some areas on the beach that they'll have a can sitting by itself for garbage, whatever.
At most of the beach access points, we do have the signs that are there. So, and I think probably some cleanup and adding some more would help. And again, you know, we've just got some people that they don't pick up their garbage, unfortunately. And videotaping it would be great. We still would have to identify who the person is in order to issue an NTA. So if you show me a picture of a guy doing one of these and throwing it behind his back, it's great video. But unless I can identify who the person is that's throwing the trash, I can't issue a ticket to anybody. I'd have to be able to facially or visually. If we know who the guy is and you've got video, by all means, provide it to me. We can go forward with littering. That's a pretty easy one. So if I can identify the guy through video, we can go forward. That's okay. So we can definitely try to do that. Because we get videos routinely about dogs. So, and then we have to go through what is allowed on the beach as far as service animals and what's not allowed. So we do get those videos from time to time.
Corey, I got a quick question for you. Actually, more of a statement. Tom, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think our biggest issue, I'll agree with whatever number you guys want. I think that's great. Problem is going to be enforcement. There's really no question about it. But maybe we're looking at this the wrong way. I remember when we had a problem with, I don't want to be gross, but dog poop on people's, on people's yards because people weren't cleaning up their dog poop. Well, the city went out and we installed dog bags all over the city, right? And it did help. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's still some people that are less than admirable and they'll leave it there. But, it did help and people started using those bags on a regular basis. I think one of our issues, and I'm certainly not taking the side of any litterer by any chance here, but I've talked to the Tylers out there by the beach, and I think one of the issues that we have, and especially with the 4th of July holiday coming up, there's just not enough places to put the garbage, right? So people come off the beach and then stuff just kind of gets laid by the side of the can or onto the side. And then some people look up and they go, they just leave it there and there's nobody enforce, and it's not, you guys can't enforce. So we get 2 community policing officers. We just don't have enough people to do that. So let's look at it another way. If the dog bags kind of eliminated or at least improve the problem that we had here, why don't we increase or dial up the number of cans that we have. And I kind of understand what you're saying. I don't think we can put a can right in the middle of Archibald or a couple of them in the middle of Archibald, because we can't leave a trace. But isn't that our ordinance?
The
No
leave no trace is a city ordinance.
Right, so, there's, can't we, I'm not saying, hey, let's.
It
break
revolves
law,
around
but
the
let's-
turtles as well, the obstructions on the beach. And that's partially as the language is crafted so that when the sea turtles are nesting. they don't
I
have
get it.
obstructions.
I get, maybe not during sea turtle season or something like that, but if we could provide more receptacles for people, I think that helps part of our problem and make more awareness. Yeah, more signs will help, right? There's no question about it. Put the notes right on the sign, put the fines right on the cans themselves. But I think giving people more accessibility, help themselves and help them clean up. And then, Audrey and the gang won't have to pick up so much trash as they go along. Go ahead, Jamie, I'm actually interested in what.
So to answer some of your questions and suggestions, Vice Mayor, we did just purchase additional trash cans with the intent to put them out on the beaches and some of the higher traffic areas that we've been seeing. Also, along with that, we have drafted a couple of notices here that we're going to go out to all of the hotels and condos and all the short-term rentals. The good and bad thing with Madeira Beach is a lot of our money comes from people coming in from out of town, and it's hard to change behavior with a group of people that's constantly revolving. So the intent is we're going to leave these notices with the condos and all the hotels. And by our ordinance, it states that each one is supposed to have it in each individual unit. However, that again becomes very tedious and very time consuming to go through and check every single room. So we're going to ask if they can post a notice within a common area, whether it's the exit to the beach, whether it's at the front desk or within the hotel elevator. Just put it somewhere to, again, give another person a chance to see that and, maybe kind of keep that in their mind as they're going out to the beach.
How about handing it to them when they check in?
That's an option. We could look at getting smaller flyers and part of the check-in procedures. Again, it'll be something we're going to have to commonly work on. And also along with handing the leave no trace ordinances, we have another one drafted up to hand out to some of the convenience stores that sell glass containers, just as a courtesy to say, hey, do you guys mind posting this? Just to give a heads up and say glass is not prohibited on the beach. Not to say that they can't sell it, but just kind of giving as many reminders as possible to the people coming in from out of town that might not be familiar with our ordinances.
Something I've noticed, there are places where we've got as many as 4 garbage cans beside each other, and still there's litter. But I've also noticed those 4 cans are full. Is there any way we can get sanitation out there to empty these containers on the weekends, on Saturday and Sunday? Because you go there Monday morning, not only are they full, but they're on the ground all around the can, and the wind's carried stuff off. You would think when the can's full, people would say, well, maybe I should just take this back to the house with me and throw it away, but it's not happening. And I just, if people in this day and age don't know they're not supposed to litter, then they've been living in a cave somewhere. That's why I'm ready to put a $500 fine on them. Not a warning, first offense, $500. Put that on a sign and let's see how much littering we get.
Okay. Sanitation they do 7 days a week. They pick up. So they are in Saturday and Sunday morning. And so it's just been very high traffic. Our sanitation crews are saying this is busier than most 4th of Julys, and it's end of June already. So they don't see any sign of slowing down. So
yeah, I've noticed South Beach especially dirty.
So then to touch on that in the morning, just to kind of highlight and give everybody an update on, some of the reasons that we're unable to get out there as early as we would like to be. Obviously, we'd like to be out there as early as possible to clean it up, make it look nice for everybody that comes in. However, we've kind of mentioned it and touched on it, but the turtle season really slows us down. We have to wait until we get notification that they've cleared the beach of all turtle nests and made all their counts and done all the stuff that is required before we're able to get on the beach. So some mornings, we're not able to get onto the beach until 8:30. So I understand the frustration, and it's bothersome, but I do feel like we're trying to take as many steps as we can to get some information out there and trying to get some additional crews in on the weekends to help so that we have people starting from the north and the south to help clean them up sooner.
Because I was at John's Pass late in the day, and they were all full. There was stuff all over the parking lot. I've even seen city trucks just ride by all the trash in the parking lots. So it was disappointing to me. And I think the time has come where warnings are doing no good, because you'll never see the people again. So when a couple of people get hefty fines, the word will travel quickly. And that's just my feeling on it. As Pat used to say, that may be a view not shared by all, but I don't know what else to do if people don't know it by now.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. Jamie, is there a way to maybe do a second pass during the day? I don't even care if we hire temps at this point to do it, but to have another crew maybe do a sweep through the beach and empty the trash cans at, say, 2 o'clock. I mean, this 4th of July is going to be different than any 4th of July we've ever had. It falls on a Saturday. You are 100% correct. Our traffic and the people that are here and the people that are having a good time. I think a lot of people have been pent up for a long time in Tennessee and Ohio and Illinois, and they're all here and they're all partying their brains out, and we love it. It's great. That's what, that we're a resort town. That's what we like. However, what we're seeing now is only going to escalate by 7, let's say by July 4th on a Saturday. Is there a way we can start doing some kind of runs? Because I think, again, if we give them a place to put it, if we don't give them a place to put it, some of this blame, it's shame on us a little bit here. Because not that I think littering's good, but it's shame on us that we're not making it easy on people. And you got to make it easy on people. Again, Mr. Mayor, I am for whatever fine you guys are for, but I think we have to do our part, not just put a fine out there. Let's make it easy for these people to have a place to drop their garbage. So if we can figure out a way, maybe do split shifts on Saturday or something like that, give people time off during the week. We're certainly not as busy Monday through Wednesday as we are Thursday through Sunday. I'm not going to tell you how to run your department, but if we could figure out a way to do split shifts on Saturday and have 2 runs through there, it would definitely increase the amount of area that we're giving people to drop trash.
It's something we can look into. I just off the top of my head, that issue we may run into would be, where are we able to store it? Because we're running out of staging, if you want to call it, in a public works yard just from being busy. It's something we could look into and try and work something out. Definitely can look into it.
That small pickup truck y'all have, you can use something like that on the beach, can't you?
We typically have a smaller truck that does go out on the beach. It's one of the 3-yard hopper trucks that we use.
Because even something like that, if you put a couple extra cans in the back and just change the cans that are there already, twice a day if you have to, or even 3 times a day.
Sure. Well, like I said, we'll look into what's available. I'll get with the sanitation crew chief and see what's possible. But again, it's not just as easy as picking it up and then magically dropping it somewhere to disappear. We have to also have a place to get rid of it. Not saying it's impossible, but something we can look into.
Well, I know we do need pickup on the weekends, but there's a lot of people that aren't even walking anywhere near a garbage can.
Mm-hmm.
They're throwing it on the ground, because I've seen it every time I go out there. And so that's why I think, we need a number of things done. We need the pickup. We need cans. I don't know if you have 4 cans sitting somewhere and somebody still can't put their trash in it. I don't know what you do other than having a severe fine and shake them up a little bit. That's just my feelings on it anyhow. I think we need fines, we need cans, we need the extra pickup, public awareness on this.
think my only request on this would be if we could, I think shaming people is a good, I think everybody knows you're not supposed to litter. So if our signs say something like, do the right thing, and then maybe we'll pay $250, all right? So we get the fine in there, but I think people respond to that. And that leave no trace is such a good phrase for that. I think people understand that. So, I'd love to see some really cute psychedelic looking trash cans all over this town. I mean, even when I'm picking up with the trash pirates, I'll leave the beach because they've got 30 people on the beach, and I'll walk up 150th or 140th here and or 150th, and I fill up my can so quickly and I got to walk all the way back to Archibald to give them the trash. There's no trash cans for me to dump my trash into, so, I mean, other places along the city other than the beach, like we were saying, I mean, and that was, I picked up a 5-gallon can full of small stuff in just like the first half a block. So, it's a problem. I would like to see something that reflects the way we in Madeira Beach think and how. I don't want to just see no littering, no glass, no cake, no this, no that. I'd rather see signs that make people think and react. That's all.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, we're having a couple of meetings about revising the sign. So we'll have a couple of options ready, and once they're ready, we'll get your approval on them.
Okay. Well, thanks for stepping in.
No, go ahead. Yeah, Tom.
When we used to have a police department here.
Tom, can you state your name for us?
Sorry, Tom Edwards, resident, protected address. When we used to have police department here, they used to go up on some balconies and watch for solicitors that were on the beach. We had an ordinance that applied to that, and we had people that were soliciting certain things they would watch for. Likewise, we have deputies that stop and do traffic enforcement for a certain period of time. They check out and say, I'm doing traffic enforcement, such and such. You could have a deputy go ahead and station somewhere watching the beach for 20 minutes, half hour, whatever it might be, in the high traffic areas where you have the most littering, and during the times when people are trafficking and leaving the beach. There's certain times of the day when there's more people leaving the beach. So if they're watching, they would see the violators and they could go ahead and ticket them. You might have a little bit more impact that way. Just a thought, sir.
Thank you. So how does the board feel about increasing the fine on this?
I don't mind increasing the fines at all. In fact, like Commissioner Price made the remark about, put these little sayings on things. All you gotta do is put something out there saying you're being watched,
Well,
and that kind of gives them the feeling like, whoa, I better put this thing away.
Commissioner Price, I like your remarks about the sign, and I'd like to see that done too. I would also like at the bottom of that sign to say $500 fine for violation.
I think 500 is too high.
I think that's the carrot and the stick. Well,
I think you'll never, I mean, I don't know.
I could see $100 maybe, but 500 is kind of steep.
but
That's why I said 250.
a warning is going to do no good because you're never going to see the folks again.
Exactly.
That's unenforceable.
Well, you're not going to collect 500 from most of these people either, really. You may
Well,
be able to collect 200 or
Seeing that on the
250.
sign is a deterrent, I
That's
think.
true.
But that's just me, and
No, I agree with increasing the amount. Just,
Let's meet halfway, go 250.
250? Okay, I'll go 250.
Deal.
That's enough to scare me away from, that's enough to scare people away from the 88 parking spots, so.
okay, let's go 250 and then we'll see how the budget's doing and see if we need to go to 5.
Can we deputize some people and have them go out there and watch and, issue tickets?
So is Is the board comfortable with 250 first offense?
Yes.
Sure, go ahead.
How about 5 for second? Okay. City attorney, is there any more discussion on this before I move forward? We good? Okay, city attorney, can you draft an ordinance for us, for the board to review, and include $250 for first offense on littering?
Yes, I will do that. I'll bring it back to you.
Okay, thank you. Next item is item G, public-private partnerships, pocket parks. Is there any public comment?
Mayor, Commissioners, Jeff Beggins, 429 Boca Ciega Drive. I like this idea, and it kind of goes in theme with what we're talking about tonight, making Madeira Beach the coolest, most beautiful town around, right? And I live in Boca Ciega. There's 5 little pocket parks in my little area right there, peninsula. And a lot of them really just don't look good, right? Frankly, they're just not pretty, and they could be. And I understand budget constraints and all those things. So I think there's some opportunities you've got a lot of great citizens here who care. You have a lot of great businesses here who care. And I think there's opportunities to do public-private partnerships to make them pretty, right? Maybe we can get some donations, put in fences, make some dog parks, make some playgrounds, do some certain things. Maybe the city can maintain, we can bring in some money to set up, get some fencing, get some landscaping, get those type of things going. But I think we got enough people around who would care, and I'm one of them. I'm more than happy to work on one or more and to help lead the charge and work with whoever you guys find appropriate to do that. But I think it's time to have a lot more pride in this town and just let's make these assets what they are. They're for enjoyment for everybody, but just kind of weeds and just no grass and just vacant dirt just really isn't good enough for what we are as a city. So I would be happy, honored, and would be happy to work with whoever to set up and help raise funds and donate funds to make that work. So I don't know what would happen from here. I just wanted to show my support for this idea. And we've got so many in town, right, that we can really do little kayak launches on some. We can do playgrounds, dog parks, or just chill out zones and little benches and little fishing areas. We can always dream on those ideas and come up with it and come up with budgets and then raise the money. And so I love to be involved or help in whoever we can. So I think it's a great idea. You guys are looking forward to making Madeira Beach really the coolest, most beautiful beach town and cleanest. We'll make sure there's trash cans there too. That's what I want to say.
Bob?
Robert Preston, 425 South Bay Shore Drive. Jeff just touched on it a little bit, and it was brought up, I think, over a year ago about the pocket parks having kayak and paddleboard launch places so people could get in and out, because not everybody lives on the water and able to do that. We have a lot of people that live interior to these things. So I think that would be just an excellent idea to let our citizens that live in the core of the neighborhoods to be able to use the water that we enjoy, that some of us live on the water that we enjoy so much. So I think that'd be a really great idea. And I don't have a lot of money, but I got a strong back still. I can still help.
Thank you. Any further comment? Floor is open for the commission for comment.
Well, I think it's a great idea. I know this was started years ago because the pocket park close to my house looks pretty good. Of course, I run down there and mulch it and things on occasion, make sure the little tree lives. And we do need to do something other than a sandy lot. I mean, that's uglier than having something built there.
Yeah.
So maybe I mean, in time, and when we get the money, or if we get the donations, buy some outdoor exercise equipment and stuff like I've seen, and playgrounds sound great, you know, and places with big houses, a bunch of kids running around, and I'd love to see that. We have a lot of people that have kind of absorbed their pocket park into their yard, I've noticed. I don't know whether they're just maintaining it, but one place, when I went door to door to every door in this town, I noticed there's houses that will like block off the entrance to it and stuff, and make it look like part of their lot. And we have a lot of people parking in them, a lot of trucks parking in them, and that's what makes it sandy. So the one near my house has like 2 parking spots, and then has a barrier so you can't pull your truck up to or your car up to the seawall, which I'm sure we don't want that either, but we better be prepared if we pick out some of these parks that we want to improve. You know, people have made them their own somehow and are parking things on them, so we'll have to deal with that. But maybe we, as much as I don't like a bunch of committees, maybe we can get I don't know, is there a gardening club around that wants to make one of the parks a community garden or something? I think that would be real cool, you know, part of it, and just have different ideas from people and go with it.
Yeah, I really would like to see, for me, a public-private partnership to where, honestly, some of these small pocket parks, I didn't even know we had till just driving around, you know, campaigning and whatnot. I wouldn't mind if there was a pocket park, just like you have Adopt a Highway program, Adopt a Park program.
Mm-hmm.
Put in exercise equipment or children's playground equipment. Maybe even take care of it. But for that, put your name on the park so that you're not going to the little park down the street. You're going to Beggins Park or Preston Park or whoever's park that wants to do kind of a joint venture with the city, so that they're stepping up to the plate and taking care of a particular park in return for the advertisement they're getting off it. And you could have families doing that too, or including park benches with a family's name on it at some of these parks. So I think it's a good idea, and I think it's something we need to push forward with and get it moving as quickly as we can.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, allow me to get with Jeff and some of the other interested parties, and I'll go back with a plan. That's okay, Jeff. And we'll look at the situation and look for the development of public-private partnerships and set a time frame on it, so it's just not going to languish. We work on getting it done. And just the other comment on some of the infringements on our right-of-way, or these parks. We are working on a couple of those right now and trying to resolve them. So I think it's important that the parks are there for the people, and they should be able to enjoy them.
I also guarantee there's a bunch of grants out there that are dedicated to things just like this. I mean, I know, you know, obviously we got the playground equipment here through a grant. I mean, I guarantee you, if we look around, especially with agriculture and things like that, I mean, you know, as far as, you know, putting a garden, I mean, tons of stuff out there, tons of stuff. We just got to look, that's all.
And there's enough parks to really do a variety of different items. So, you know, something will strike somebody's fancy, you know, some of the rest of it.
Yeah, and maybe Jamie could, in his spare time, start looking at grants for those types of things. Any further comments? Bob, I'd like to get this on the agenda for July.
Okay.
So to give you guys some time, a little time to get together and get back with us in July and see how we move forward with this. Okay. Next item is 5-year capital improvement plan review. Mr. Pierce?
Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, I had the clerk hand out two documents. One is a larger spreadsheet that was in your packet initially. I made this bigger because the city manager made the comment that he could not read the numbers and that he needed his glasses. So I went ahead and expanded this for his benefit. Also, I added a color code on the back, which kind of explains the different colors of why I used colors in this document. And then the other document is FY 2021 capital projects requested by fund. Do you all have a copy of these two?
Yes.
Okay. And I don't know if the city manager has one. I just wanted to start by saying that each year, part of the budget process, a large part of it is dedicated toward allocating funds for capital projects, equipment and vehicle requests. And we do that or call that the capital improvement plan or the CIP. And we plan for not just the upcoming year, but the 5-year analysis, going out 5 years. So we have a good idea of what the current year is and then on the horizon. Now, I will talk about the FY 2021 and probably in more detail. But on this document, the one that spreads across here, which is the CIP document, and those of you on the board last year, you're familiar with seeing this. Just a couple of things on this document that I just wanted to point out. By the way, I spent a lot of time with Public Works Director Jamie and putting this together. And he still, this still is a document that still needs to be tweaked by him. And I'll go into that a little bit further in detail. But like I said, there's a color code chart on the back. The yellow corresponds to, just for your benefit, the 2020 budget. And then right next to it, the 2020 revised budget. And it's revised because those projects or those accounts increase due to rollover funds. And I just wanted to make that clear so that, you understood that. The other thing, just going through these, just to mention some significant things. Area 3, which is the Parsley Marguerite Area 3, is part of the Series 2019. That's budgeted for 2021. That's 5.5 million. I just wanted to point that out. And something near and dear to the mayor's heart, I just wanted to point out the Public Works High and Dry feasibility study. What I did is there's 100,000 allocated, and that's in the middle of the page. That 100,000 used to be part of the Public Works building, or part of $232,000 that rolled over. And I took 100,000 out of that basically Jamie indicated would be a good number for that study, or just to get us started. And the high and dry basically don't have a number for that. Mayor and Jamie indicated, in a previous meeting that, once you get the feasibility study and the options, that would have a better numbers at that time. So those numbers would still have to be inserted. The other thing I just want to point out too, Area 5, which is the next part of the Stormwater Series 2019, is 5 million or a little over 5 million, and that's in FY 2022. On the second page, I just want to comment. By the way, I just wanted to run through this, and I can take questions or comments after. Just wanted to make a comment on the second page, just so you're aware. there's listed unfunded projects for stormwater, which really would be the next projects that would have to be underway or considered sometime in the future. After talking with Jamie, he felt that Area 6A should be put under 2023, 4.4 million, and then Area 3A, 15 million. That's a total of 19.6 million that is unfunded. And, just bring the board's attention about this. And, I can remember the early estimates, maybe 2 years ago, that this did any higher or was around 12 million. And you can see how much it's grown. So I think the concern should be is increased construction costs, increased competition with firms to get, projects like these. And I'm just making the board aware that, these projects need to be considered. How are they going to be funded? I mean, I don't think we can start too early to start talking about that. I would like to go then to this document, which is basically the FY 2021 capital request by fund. Now, I wanted to break these out by fund so that you would see what projects and vehicles at this point in time is allocated for 2021. And again, this will be tweaked, but I think it's a good start. There's approximately 17 projects, 9 vehicles or equipment requests. The first page, number 1, basically, these projects total 266,000. And probably the most significant item is 41,000 for fire station shower reconstruction. We had some conversation about that, and the city manager is aware of some of the structural issues at the firehouse. And we dealt with some of those last year with the ground having to redo the concrete before and the other side of the doors of the where the fire truck goes out. And both of those were sinking. We had to deal with that last year. And there is a problem with the firehouse, and it's sinking a little bit, and structurally there is issues. So that's 41,000 just to repair the showers. So I think that's significant to mention. The next page kind of goes hand in hand, number 2, with the rollover funds. Use of these funds, projects, and the vehicle there will take pressure off of having to allocate so much money or new money for the capital project. So these projects on page 2 will be funded from rollover funds, which I've also, talked to Jamie, and Jamie is on board with using these dollars for these projects. The most significant here is a quick response vehicle, which will be funded from rollover money from the lost or the local option sales tax fund. That's projected to be 95,000. So these total 340,000. And if we didn't have these rollover funds, this burden would fall on the general fund or add to the total that's on the first page. So the goal is to keep our budget down on the general fund, is to keep the new money as low as we possibly can and take advantage of rollover funds as much as we can. Number 3, or page number 3, it lists Archibald and some other. The building fund wants to purchase a big LCD inner display panel, which would provide more tracking of properties and better control over permits throughout the city. The lost fund, that 225,000 is basically we need a new fire engine. And instead of paying $800,000, $900,000, I would recommend that we explore the opportunity to get a loan for that, and which would require 25% down, which is how we estimated the 225,000. Just for reference purposes, the new ladder truck that cost in excess of 800,000. We financed that with a rate of 1.45%. And my predecessor organized that. And that actually helped us prevent increasing the budget and increasing the millage at the time. So, but the option also is to pay that out of fund balance if the board so desires. The last page, the enterprise funds, which is basically the stormwater or sanitation, stormwater, marina funds. The big significant item there is the Area 3 stormwater project, Parsley and Marguerite, which is the 5.5. And Jamie is asking in the sanitation fund, a new load and pack Broyhill machine. I'm sure he could explain that if you needed more information on that. But the bottom line is, with all funds at this point in time, it's totaling 6.9 million. Now, that fund that total is going to change, and I'll mention this real quick to you. Today, city manager did receive from the, I think it was a Big C, information regarding the undergrounding project for the next couple of years. And this would be phase or money from Penny 4 and would expand through undergrounding project through 24-25. The allocation for 2021 would be 373,647, which a lot of that money would be used for engineering analysis, to get the project started. And then every year for the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years would be an allocation of little over $1 million for a total of 4.5 that the city is set to get. So we have to plug that 373,647 into the allocation for 2021. And basically, we'll show revenue coming in for that amount. And on the expense side, in the non-departmental, we'll budget for the expense. So it will be an equal trade-off there. I know I covered this kind of quickly. Is there any detailed questions that the board might have?
I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, it's on page 2.
Okay.
And it's under the Military Code of Honor, 9/11. We had $41,000 set aside for that.
Okay, you're on this page right here?
Yes.
Okay. Military Court of Honor?
Right, we had $41,000 set aside for that. Looks like we're showing 33,942.
Yeah, we did expend some money in 2020. That's the money that's basically remaining to cover that. So that is the balance that's
So we
remaining.
used some of the money already.
We did already, yes. Basically, we used it for Al Carrier to scope that out and provide a report for that. Yeah, site plan.
Okay.
So you're correct.
So we're still looking at the 6,000 then? Is that what you're looking at there that was spent?
Well, we've got 33,000, and that would at least get it started. And there would have to be a decision to, if there were donations or anything like that that would add to that. I know the city manager was talking about that.
That's correct. It's a public-private partnership we have through the owner of our new hotel. Once they get settled in and everything starts running right, not that it's not running right, but it's just they're still dusting it all off. They got their CO on Friday, but I did speak with him, and he still wants to do that fundraising event, having a VIP get together up on the roof of the pool deck of this hotel, and have a lot of the movers and shakers, donors that he feels quite certain that we can get close to our goal of $100,000 to that project.
It's just something I'm really watching. I've been watching you for a while. Okay, all right. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Let's see.
Walt, on page 2 of the handout that you gave us, first off, that quick response vehicle's everything that we need. I mean, we just had somebody drown on the beach, but the reason that's important, so everybody knows, we'll talk about this at budget time, but just so it's in the back of everybody's head, that will save the 800,000. They'll use this quick response vehicle probably 80% of the time, I'd say, and that'll save the big dog in the $800,000 one. That'll get us another 4 or 5 years of life out of it probably. So that's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. I do see a lot of vehicles on here, and I guess I'm a little confused with the enterprise lease, so I'm not exactly sure. And then on page 3, you mentioned something about another fire engine?
Yes, and that is for they're retiring one fire engine there, and it is due for replacement. And so it is something that is needed. City manager, want to comment a little bit on that?
Sure, it's a 2004 model. Usually once they get up over 10 years, they have a lot of problems with the pumping system. And I don't quite know the maintenance record on this. I know they've spent some money on the pumps already. So from the time that you order a fire engine, it takes really a year to fill the order. So basically, you put the down payment down, which is usually 25%, I believe. And then, you look to funding sources for the remainder 75% as well. And so it'd probably be like a 2-year project. So if we did the down payment in 2021, then it would do the final payment would be fiscal year 2022.
Okay, I'm going to sound like an idiot here. What's the difference between a fire engine and a fire truck?
I don't know. I think that's the ladder truck is what they were talking about before.
Right, that is the ladder truck.
Then they have the fire engine,
Right.
which is, it doesn't have the, has the regular stationary ladders that they put on it, but it does have the pump in there, so they have the capability of pumping water out remotely.
By the way, on the quick response,
Yeah, I'm
Our
confused.
fire
Bob,
trucks
Bob,
look
do you know the answer
brand
to
new
that?
to me.
I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking of fire engine, fire truck are the same thing. So I don't know. I'm lost.
by the way, just one comment back on the quick response vehicle. The whole idea about purchasing that would take pressure off of the ladder truck, which basically is just going out on every call. And that is an expensive asset the city does have. So the whole idea about the quick response vehicle is to take pressure off that ladder truck.
Well, and also, if I can add, it's also about saving lives.
Right.
As our roadways get busier, especially during the season, the ladder truck, has to get through the traffic. Having a quick response vehicle, which is more like one of those rescue vehicles, EMS vehicles, those are more apt to be able to get through the traffic a lot easier. And, with a heart attack or a stroke, seconds count. So so I think, I agree, it takes wear and tear off of the other fire engine apparatus, but I think it's also about saving the lives of our residents and tourists.
Yeah, I believe that's how I started the thing. Now, the only other question I have is on the big sheet here. On the first page, I got it circled. Our original number for the Crystal Island Improvement Project, what was in the budget, was 7.5 million, right? It was 6.6 million, then we revised it to 7.5, correct?
Yes, I'd probably have.
Okay, but then it can't, I mean, but now we don't have the actuals because 2020 is not over. But the actual number on that is what, 12 and change? I know we're getting 2 back. And then you shoot up to fiscal year 2021, and we're looking at Marguerite at 5 million. And then we look down again to Johns Pass Avenue, that's another 5 million. So even if we're just rounding numbers, 10, 5, and 5 and change gets us to 20 million. We only have 15 million. And that's without the $1 million balloon payment we just had to pay, or we've got to pay coming up in 2021. Where's this money going to be budgeted from to do these projects?
those estimates for the projects that are coming up for Area 3 and Area 5
Mhm.
have been looked at by Jamie, and he provided those numbers. So,
Oh, I'm not questioning the numbers.
right,
I'm questioning, even if I just say the numbers are perfect, we don't have enough money.
I think it's the responsibility of staff along with Jamie to present options to the board going forward. But I mean, that's why, point well taken. That's why I wanted to mention first, the projects that that we're looking at out at 24 and 25, 19.6, I can remember when those totaled, like I said, 12 million, and we were looking at that, and I thought that was high. It's just the expense of construction and costs. And that's why I wanted to mention that to the board, because going forward, even though these are way out to 24, 25, it is something that the board needs to be aware of. These increasing construction costs are what, we had to deal with Boca Ciega, not Boca Ciega, Rex Place. We incurred it in several of the past projects. So I agree. I mean, it has to be well aware of it, and you have to be constantly looking at it.
And constantly looking at other revenue sources that we can have, whether it's allocations through the state legislature or whether it's grant funding and so forth. So it's, and that's one thing that we're constantly working on.
I agree. Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, if there's no other questions, I'd like to conclude by saying that this
I've got
is,
a question.
okay, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, I was waiting my turn. What improvements are we making to this room?
I'm sorry?
We got 45,000 from the general fund for chamber improvements.
Yes, that's a figure that I got from Kurt in taking care of some of the increased technology and IT needs for the chambers here. And I think a lot of this, he came to the conclusion based on, what we went through during the coronavirus. City Manager, you want to make a comment on that?
Yes, there's other items like our roll down screens on there. Just an example of that. Somebody used prior, to a while ago, I guess, used some type of a cleaner or something on there. And it always has the shadows when we use it. So we're also looking at updating the dais for the commissioners so they can have a monitor that they can watch what's going on without having to turn around and look at the screen. And also for the public, maybe instead of having the screen, we just put a couple big screen TVs that'll show the same information. So, and then the rest of it is electronic components that we have to replace in the system. As you know, we've been kind of piecing together the sound system again and getting everything back up and running, which was part of the problems that we had doing the virtual meetings. So it's a phased approach, and again, we don't have to do certain phased items, and we can put those off.
Fine. I mean, we all have city-issued laptops. I mean,
Right.
I don't need my own dedicated monitor here, as well as one that I take home. So,
I agree.
okay. And just so I'm clear, Mr. Pierce, the request by fund, the 2000, this document that I just got today,
Yes.
these are just requests, correct? These aren't things that anyone's made decisions on.
These are projects and things that we are looking at for 2021. What we,
We're gonna have to tighten our belt here.
well, I just want
Use
to,
our vehicles another year, and
right, and that's a good
I don't
point.
need a new dais. This is great. This is beautiful.
And that's a good point. I just want to back up and just say that we went through a process of requesting what the departments wanted, what they needed, and we did do we did go through a process of elimination a little bit, but this is what their requests are, and this is what they need. But yes, you're well within your right to say, or ask the department heads, do you really need a Bobcat? Even though it's, we received it in 2001, you know, if it's still working, it's still working. So as we're going through, as you're going through
Yeah.
the budget,
Yes.
with the.
And that was these are just requests.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. There's one other thing that kind of jumped out that no one mentioned. Oh, the firehouse. Are we working with the people that built that thing?
Yes. In fact,
And
Jamie,
why are
you
we
want to
paying to
address that?
redo showers?
Yeah, so we are working on drafting up a letter to send to the responsible parties of the construction of it. And I believe it has been done in the past, but, you know, feel like it's worth mentioning it again with these new issues that are coming up. So we are in the process of gathering all the issues that we've had in the 5 years, maybe not even 5 years that it's been built. So we're getting a draft letter written up, but as far as.
Do we know if we've ever sent them a letter in the past alerting them to issues? I mean, why are we fixing concrete if it's settling wrong or whatever? I mean, that's not us.
I don't know for sure. I believe that in the past the contractor was notified of some of the issues that Walt had alluded to with the slabs and having cracking in the slabs. I believe they're notified there. I don't know the entire transaction since I wasn't here at the time, but so there has been some dialogue. To what extent they're aware of the current issues, I don't know.
Well, as long as we're getting them involved.
Yes.
I don't want to assume that we're paying $41,000 for new showers when technically I would think that there would be some liability on the part of the people who installed it. I mean, I don't know what they're doing in that shower, but presumably.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what.
Replaced in 4 years, you know.
Right. I'm not sure what kind of warranty was agreed upon during the construction. So it's something we're trying to look into.
Well, if we have faulty work over there, we need to look seriously at it. And if Mr. Trask needs to help in making a letter to the folks.
Okay.
That's just my feeling on it, but we can't accept poor workmanship and expect us to have to come back later and pay for fixing their problems.
I agree with that, Mr. Mayor. If there aren't any other questions, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, I'd like to conclude by just saying that this is my last meeting with the board, and I am moving on to a new endeavor. And I am thankful for the opportunity to serve as the city's finance director and treasurer for the past 3 years. I'd like to thank my finance team for their professionalism, their support, and things that we accomplished. And I would like to thank the department heads and the city manager also for the opportunity to assist them with the day-to-day business. And I'll miss them. I'll miss them all. And I wish the city much success in the future.
Thank you for your service, Walt. Thank you very much. Does the commission have any other questions on this item? Are there any public comments on this item? Bob?
Robert Preston, 425 South Bayshore Drive, Madeira Beach. Ever since I came to this town, I've been discussing the quick response truck with city staff, city managers, commission members and stuff. I'm really glad to see that this is coming to fruition. I think it will be very good for the city and for our community and for saving lives, beach access. And that's the main point, like city manager talked about, is the lives portion of it. But it also saves wear and tear on $1 million piece of equipment running up and down the road, which is just flat crazy. So thank you very much for doing that for the community. The other thing is this less than 5-year-old fire department building, all the things that have been going on with that. I hope that we go back even further to the engineers, the designers, and make sure that the people who actually built it to the design standards that were supposed to be built. And if they didn't, then it becomes the contractor that didn't do the right thing. But if they designed it or they built it according to the specifications in the engineering, then the engineering is at fault for this. So we may be digging deeper than just the people who built the structure. And that's kind of, and I hope we never, in either case, I hope we don't ever have them work for the city again. Thank you.
Bob, do you know the difference between a fire engine and a fire truck? I mean, yeah. This is going to befuddle me for, I'm telling you, I'm having.
There's a ladder truck, there's an engine, there's a whole different types of them, so.
I think it depends on.
But most people, it's synonymous. It's usually red, has a siren on it with lights.
They're not red anymore, Bob. Is there any other public comment? Yes, sir.
Jeff Brooks, 425 150th Avenue. One of the things that I heard you talking about when it comes to revenue that we learned from a breakfast and Bob meeting was we were talking about all these new hotels that are going in here and how much this is going to help our city from a revenue standpoint. But the reality is that the amount of revenue that we're actually going to receive from those hotels comes down to the property tax that they pay and nothing further. So while I agree with Doug wholeheartedly, we want these people coming here and we want them to enjoy our beach. The reality is that these people are not truly contributing to all of these costs that we just got done talking about tonight. How do we get a bed tax involved with this city so that we can start bringing revenue in here from the people that are costing the locals the money? And that's what it comes down to. And everywhere you go and travel, there's a bed tax that comes along from the city. It's not much, but we're talking per night, per resident. And when you start looking across this place, there's a ton of money out there. There's revenue. That's straight cash going towards those trash trucks, going towards the people that we need to pay overtime to come out here on the weekends to clean up from the people that are here. That's revenue. Secondly would be, where's the impact fees? We've been talking about that for a long time. We have got to get impact fees down here so that this stuff does have some sort of help towards the things that are costing us money. Thank you.
Yeah, two excellent points there. Yeah, I know that's a really good, I was actually going to bring that up tonight too, is the impact fee study that we paid quite a bit of money for. I mean, I think where are we at? I mean, I haven't seen Jerry in 5 or 6 months, I guess, isn't it? It's been that long? I don't know. It's been a while, right? 4 or 5 months?
Here 2 months ago, one month ago. It was right after COVID because they were locked down in Gainesville as well. But he was here, he met with the planning commission, and I thought he met with the commission. He was here at the, I think.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just don't remember him being here. He might have been. I just don't remember hearing.
And I believe the timetable, I don't have it in front of me, but they were looking at implementation of the fees for October. But I will report on that at the meeting, give you an update.
And while we're on this same thing, Bob, I understand we haven't even applied for our bed tax money for 3 years. I don't know if that's true, but if it is true, I'm appalled. And I've mentioned it before, but I'd like to find out where we stand on applying for that now, because leaving money on the table makes no sense. Any other comment? Okay, next we move on to firefighters paid during COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Daniels, will you give us a report on that, please?
Yes, the firefighters are involved in a collective bargaining agreement. That's a 3-year agreement with an opener for wages. And now that we have our legal labor attorney worked out in using Rob, what's Rob's last name? I forgot.
Eschenfelder, he's associated at my law firm.
And, so we, obviously, the previous labor attorney we had, I think there was some issues, and that's why it's a nice opportunity. And he's setting up a meeting with the firefighters union so we could sit down and work through their proposals. And then ultimately, when you're in collective bargaining, you can meet in executive sessions, and obviously the commission's part of that process once we know what proposals we're talking about.
Are there any questions on this for the city manager? Any public comments on this issue? Next, we move on to correction of a press release regarding the recent marina examination. Commissioner Price.
Yes, I sent everybody a second draft. I did a first draft, and I think we basically agreed that it wasn't exactly what we wanted. And now that I sat through the town hall meeting last week or this week, whenever, I kind of got a different sense of it, so I revised it. It was not in your packet because I just sent it to Clara the other day, yesterday, I believe. But I want you guys to read it and see if that's the tone you'd like. I didn't send it to the attorney yet. It's not as, yeah, but I probably should have sent it to you too. It's not an apology. It's more of a correction, I guess.
It's a clarification, and I've had a chance to read over it. I got a copy of it today and read through it, and I think it looks good.
I didn't know if
Commissioner
anybody had
Price.
anything else to add. I just picked out the 4 or 5 things that stood out in my mind. And maybe you want to hit some of these harder and not, I don't know. This was just my own picking up from the group and from Doug, frankly.
It is something I'd like Mr. Trask to review before we move forward with it.
Yeah, we'd have to vote on it the next meeting, and Commissioner Price, I think you did an excellent job. I think you summarized the town hall pretty darn well. And just to comment on that, boy, I'll tell you what, I think we should really look into doing more of those. Wasn't perfect, no. But I think what it did, it gave everybody the opportunity that wanted to come out and speak and discuss an issue that was, very contentious around the city. It's been a while. It's been about 18 months since we've seen this. But I think the interesting part is, when I started the town hall, when I began speaking, I kind of stated something to the effect that it really doesn't matter where you stood politically. Okay? The idea of this is, it doesn't matter where you plant your flag. At the end of the day, you're going to have a lot of questions on this. And the only thing I ever asked for, and I love the comment about the kangaroo court. It wasn't a kangaroo court. It wasn't my responsibility to. It was an open meeting for people to come. If the auditors or the examiners wanted to show up and have their say, I would have loved to have heard theirs, because that's the one thing we never got. We never really got an opportunity to hear from these folks, and we have missing reports and along the lines here. But my first question of anything is, why in the world would we even have written this? Why would you put out a negative press release on something like this? I mean, we have tons of things to write negatively about, whether it's red tide or hurricane or coronavirus. I mean, those are important health issues and emergencies that we have to write about. But why would you publish a marine audit that makes everybody look bad? I mean, everybody except the brand new city manager and the board. But when we went through it and Commissioner Price touched on a lot of these things, I mean, this whole thing started because of two major reasons. John Hauser, who, I'll be honest with you, you guys all saw him stand up here, and he was very uncomfortable about the whole thing. And a resident just gave me something. During the December 17th meeting, Mr. Hauser said the initial intent of the audit was to find fraud, but instead was an unfair examination at the cost of $50,000. This is from the guy who allegedly started this whole ball rolling. This is a quote unquote. The other portion of it is, was a internal inventory examination by our own finance staff. But if you ask around, first of all, Walt stood in front of us and said, he never did that, and he didn't have his staff do that. So there's no report for it, there's no anything. These were the two catalysts that started this whole thing going. And here we go, and we jump into this thing. But that's obviously your first mission report is the inventory evaluation. The second one, we spent the first $15,000 the board didn't even know about. Okay? It went, it got approved, it didn't get approved. He went out and sought these auditors. And the problem was there was no RFP. Where did we get the auditors from? So many missing questions of this. But the biggest question is, the first $15,000, where's that second? Where's that report? Where's the report that says, we need a little bit more time, or we're investigating certain things? Nobody ever produced a report, right? In 2018, August 2018, Mr. Evans came to the board asking for another $35,000 to finish it up. The only person who asked a question was Commissioner Hodges, who's like, what the heck is this for? I don't even see any reason to be auditing the marina. And again, I'm not going to paraphrase. You corrected me the last time. But the vote went 4-1. No other questions were asked. This was $50,000 that got approved with a blink of an eye. It was never discussed in the sunshine. Nobody ever knew about it until then. And there's obviously another question there. Then the matter of those NDAs. Those NDAs really bother me. And I know a lot of people said, well, they were just kind of formulating their plan. These NDAs were spaced out way too, or formulating their findings to make sure they were correct. In the private sector, I'll buy that all day long. In a municipality, I don't ever see the reason for an NDA for a publicly funded audit. Just don't even see the reason for it. But one of the NDAs that Mr. Pierce, who could be answering all these questions, who said he was uncomfortable asking the questions, that says a lot as well. One of those NDAs called it a fraud examination. I mean, when did it become a fraud examination? Again, just a laundry list of questions that keep going, but that's the third missing report. Walter signed an NDA, and so did Karen, so did Patrick, so did Jonathan Evans, so there was a bunch of people that signed this NDA in October. And they signed an NDA for a report, but when you ask for the report doesn't exist. So I don't know what the NDA was for. So Again, I am really happy that we went ahead and did this, and we're clearing this up, but remember, my only intent and my only purpose from day one, and I've never stated anything differently, was I wanted to make sure that we went above and beyond, printed a retraction, whether it gets picked up or not is irrelevant, printed a retraction so that we properly express, if we're going to put out a press release, might as well make it correct. I went through that first press release, and there was nothing in there. Nothing in there correct. I mean, at the end of it, let's put the icing on the cake. At the end of it, we talked about a $27,000 overpayment that finance made to our gas company. And the auditors found it because they looked at the bill, and the bill had a $27,000 credit on it. They weren't trying to steal it from us. There was no chicanery going on. And we gave them credit for letting us know that our finance department made a mistake. And they put that on the marina audit. And to add insult to injury, they made the marina pay for it. out of their profits from the year before, they paid $50,000 towards this. So I appreciate everybody who showed up that day. Like I said, I think we got a lot accomplished. I encourage that we do this on any topic, because I think it gives everybody the right to express themselves. But I think more importantly, even with detractors, there's going to be always going to be people that are going to say certain things. I think we got a lot accomplished, and I really look forward to doing some of those in the future. So I thank you, and thank you, Commissioner Price, for putting that together.
Anyone else? Is there any public comment on this issue?
Jeff Brooks, 425 150th. First, I'd like to say, so the initial comment that was made when this meeting came together in regards to Commissioner Andrews was incorrect. So there certainly was never, he never abused two women or women during that meeting. Those two women came up to this with a very sharp tongue. Doug reiterated in a sharp tongue. I wish we could get all people involved that come up to this podium to eliminate their sharp tongue. It was unfair for them to do. I wasn't a big fan of Doug reiterating that, but I also understand that it's hard to sit there and not want to come back with the same tone. So I really don't appreciate that remark at the beginning. It certainly was not a kangaroo court. And if anything we should do in this city, we should thank Doug for taking the time and allowing us to do that. And for those of you that didn't hear this, I'm going to stand up here and say it again. It was me that contacted Doug and said, yes, would you please do that town hall meeting? And I did think it was very constructive, and I really appreciate the time and the effort that went into it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'm Edward from Deer Beach resident, protected address. I do appreciate having the forum where we can go ahead and talk about the report in more detail. In the letter, Ms. Price, it talks about, on the third paragraph, did not constitute an audit in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards. But in the report, it did talk about that it did meet GAA standards for an examination. So if we're going to issue a correction, we ought to go ahead and balance it out, because it did say that in the report. I brought that up during the meeting.
It's not an audit. An actual audit has certain standards.
And
An
examination.
Well, maybe I can put in there that it didn't rise to the level of having audited standards, to make that more clear. I think that's a very important point.
In the report, it states that it was never an audit, it was an examination. And it did meet GAA standards as an examination. And that's all I'm saying, is that it did specifically say that in the report. And it is a neutral, verifiable process. When they go ahead and do an audit or examination, they look at documents. I mean, either an audit or examination, they both do the same thing. They do look at the documents and look at look at the money flow and everything like this. And that's why they came up and said that the discounts for gas were never approved by the Board of Commission. So, we got the clerk going back to 1965. You have a fee schedule, and the fees never were initiated for a gas discount until the ordinance in 2018. So all they're doing is reporting what they find and what's been told to them, as to what the Board of Commission has approved in a fee schedule. So if they projected that it was out the 330, we still haven't had that $220,000 in mismanagement losses that occurred, or in some cases, they overcharged the public by launch fees and stuff like that, which was talking in a minute. And as to the final paragraph, we were talking about an initial audit report. It could have been a verbal report that may have been given to the city manager at the time, where written report wasn't done. That's why. But we're speculating because we haven't been able to talk to them. I think that city manager wanted to make some inquiry on that. So I was just wondering if we had that information.
Not as yet, but hopefully I'll have it for the next meeting.
So I would ask to hold off until we hear what the city manager found concerning that part. If there was actually a written report, or if it was presented verbal, just for your consideration. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I interjected there, I'm sorry. It's your comment time, so, thank you.
I will say, I moved here in 1986. I bought a boat in July of 86. I took it to the Madeira Beach Marina. I got fuel there, told them I was a resident, and I got a discount. So that's 34 years ago, so I know it's been done for a long time.
And Mr. Mayor, if I may, the only other thing I'd like to do by wrapping this up is, yeah, Tom, you're right. And in fairness, maybe I was a little hard on the guys that did the investigation. I didn't mean anything by it. My point was, the only reason I ever questioned the credibility, if this was just a straight audit, and an auditing firm did it, they're overqualified to do our audit. If it was just a numbers audit, I'd have been with them right away. One thing we never got to really find out, because in the public meeting, we got to ask one question, and it was asked by, we got to put it on a piece of paper, and it was asked by Kurt. We never got follow-up questions, we never got anything. So just again, going back to the original premise of this whole thing, a lot of unanswered questions. But the one thing we really need to keep our eye on, and I tell everybody this, just because we are in a revenue crunch, we're implementing those 25 recommendations. According to the report, I went back and did some research, we spent somewhere between $250,000 and $275,000. And we also absorbed about $125,000 in annual maintenance of those. Now, I'm not really sure how changing the passwords cost money and things like that. I don't know where these numbers come from, but they're from the reports. I just want to make sure and that's why I went back and looked at this. Where I'm really concerned is that the 8-month numbers reflect that the marina is going to bring in roughly $2.1 million in fiscal year 2020, and in fiscal year 2018, there's, they brought in $2.6+ million. You asked me, and I actually did this. I went and called around to the marinas and asked how they're doing. None of them wanted to go on record, so you're going to have to take my word on this. But I called one marina that was over the bridge. I called one here locally that's a private marina, and I called another municipal marina that is very similar to ours. It's very close, that you could probably guess, but I'm not going to admit it when you tell me. I know the guy over there, and the question I asked him was very simple. I said, is the pandemic hurting your business? And I'm going to quote him. No, man, just the opposite. I can't keep the fuel in the ground. We're making so much money, we actually just accelerated a couple of capital projects that we were supposed to be doing in 2022. Again, nobody's going to publish me unaudited numbers. Nobody's going to do anything like that. It's going to remain to be seen. I just want everybody to keep their watchful eye on this, because if this comes to fruition, we spent $50,000 on an examination. We spent $250,000 to $275,000 implementing it. We absorbed $125,000 a year in annual maintenance, and we're going to lose $500,000 in revenue as a result. That is not a successful examination in my book, and I hope that everybody else can look at it that way as well. But thank you, Mr. Mayor, for giving me the time. I'll drop this subject. I'm done. When we vote on it, I just wanted to get this out, and I put a lot of time into it, a lot of effort, so I just, I'm glad we're going to do the right thing.
Commissioner Price, on this third paragraph that Tom mentioned, Mr. Edwards mentioned, do you want to include examination in there rather than
Well, the point I'm making, I said, first, there was no audit performed at the marina. Blah, 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 they say it. So we should never have been calling it an audit. Certainly, the word audit should never have been in the title of the press release. But then I go, as such, the continued use of term, the term, how I read this, the term audit in the release is misleading, and it infers a neutral, verifiable process, which it was not. I don't mind dropping those last 4 words, because to these guys, their examination, I think at the end of the day, it was the fit. They certainly had a lot of back with it. So the use of the term audit, I mean, that's a very high-level examination, right? What they did was not really, had a lot of paperwork and stuff, but it didn't have to come up to the standard of an audit. So I don't mind just stopping it. Continue use the word audit in the release misleading and infers a neutral, verifiable process, period. I don't have to put in that commentary, that was probably just me. If we want to, if we want to edit this now, I'm happy to go through it.
No, that worked for me. I think you did a very good job of running this stuff.
If I can make a suggestion, I know Mr. Edwards and Mr. Brooks, I know they're heavily involved in this, and you probably just got a chance to read this today. We're not voting on this for another couple of weeks.
Right.
If you guys want to make any comments or concerns or suggestions, please submit them to us, and we'll go through them before we actually approve this. I'd actually like to hear what you guys have to say on it, okay? Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, next item is Auditor Selection Committee.
We're using that auditor word again.
Yeah.
This is an audit.
I know this has been addressed, for 2 months or so, and I've sought Tom's advice on, Mr. Trask's advice on what's the best way of moving forward with this process. Obviously, I found out from Mr. Hauser that they can't get into another engagement with us, unless it was a full engagement letter, like we're doing with the RFP. So, I went to Mr. Trask, and, there's the easiest way, or not the less liability way, is just throwing the whole thing out and restarting. But then that sets us back time-wise. We did spend money on the advertisement and so forth. Probably the easiest way is by making our commissioner, which is Commissioner Douthert, unfortunate, he'll be out of service for 2 weeks or so. But making him the chairperson, and then moving on with the rankings as if we now have the proper chairperson and so forth. But Tom, I don't know if you want to speak on that. I don't want to speak for you. That's kind of the dialogue that we had, and I wanted to bring it forward to you all. So at the July 8th meeting, we can get this thing off kilter and do it one way or the other.
So here's my concern. My concern is that it wasn't done properly to start with. Therefore, if we treat it like a meeting that took place and wasn't in compliance with the Sunshine Law, we need to have what we call as a cure meeting. And that would be to basically to start from scratch, make a complete start over, and work forward from that. And then we know for sure that anything that we do, it meets the requirements of the statute. What we've got is a situation where we're partway through, the RFP has been issued, you've got your responses, you just don't have a committee that meets the requirements of the statute. So there is some technical problems with it if we basically use the evaluations and the ranking that was originally determined by the original committee.
They didn't do that.
So that is the first thing that they had to have done to move forward, to be in compliance with the statute. If they did not do that, then we definitely have to start over again. Because the statute says, when we look at it, the Auditor Selection Committee shall, in the first paragraph, it says, establish factors to use for the evaluation of the audit services to be provided by a certified public accounting firm, duly licensed under Chapter 417, continues on. So those factors have to be established. Then there has to be a public announcement of the proposals. And then you have to provide the interested firms with that request for proposal, evaluate those proposals, rank and recommend them in order of preference. and then it comes here to the commission for approval. So if in fact the factors to be used for the evaluation were never established, then we definitely need to start from scratch.
I think Walt made factors. They were meeting for the very first time. And at that time, they got the packets in front of them. And that's when there was a big discussion about what factors are going to be weighed how, right? I think factors were determined, and whether or not we were going to have price as a factor, right? So I think that all happened, but what alarmed some of us was, the discussion by that particular audit committee that they wanted to do this outside the sunshine, and we're actually kind of scheming for ways to do it outside the sunshine. I'm thinking, and maybe talk to Walt and see if the factors are there, because he introduced a grid to the group. He said, here's your score sheets. It's up to you, you go through it. And then that's when the people in the audit committee said, well, how do we, what if we want to weigh this more than that? And Walt was answering the question, well, weigh it as you see fit. You're the committee. Put it together. I don't know for sure, maybe you need to watch that meeting. I'm thinking if we just had a new committee, if we got the bid committee involved in it, and
So the cleanest way to do it would definitely be to start all over again, whether it's the current committee or the committee. The problem with using the current committee, they're going to be going in there with the mindset of, well, we've already done this, therefore we don't need to go through point by point by point. They'll just want to ratify what they've done before. That doesn't necessarily meet the cure requirements. So it will definitely slow you down. It will put you back 3 months or more. So that's just something that you need to think about. So do you really want to do it right? Or do you want to do it in a way that is possibly right? There's no law on this. It just says, if we follow the statute, then we're in good shape. So you don't know whether you're going to get a challenge. And knowing the city of Madeira Beach and its history, I'm sure there are individuals within the city that would challenge this. So I would like to do it cleaner and do it correctly, point by point in the statute, even though it's going to take us a little bit longer to get through the process. That's my advice. It's obviously you need to make that decision, give direction to your city manager as to how you want to accomplish that.
Mr. Trask, I got a suggestion. In all the years I followed, we never had an auditor selection committee before. Is it possible for us to just disband it, give us the documents, we sit here on a Thursday afternoon, bang through this, and we're making the ultimate decision anyway, and we just press forward and just get this thing done? Because I mean, I don't think we have 3 months to screw around with this and to put new people in place. We can't use the old one. I just think the cat's out of the bag there, or the horses out of the barn, or whatever analogy you want to use. But we haven't seen we haven't seen them, right?
no.
All right, so we're impartial, we're in a good spot, I think, and I think that if we just disband the committee that we've never had before, and then we just take it over and do it ourselves, I mean, we have the requirements, we follow the requirements. We go down the list and do it ourselves, and we're done. I mean, does that work? Is that clean enough?
So the answer is that the statute says that you have to have at least one member from the governing body on the committee. It doesn't say that you can only have one member. So I would think that that would be a way of doing it. And I'm just going to read it out loud. So the Auditor Selection Committee for Municipality, Special District, School Board, Charter School, or Charter Technical Career Center must consist of at least 3 members. One member of the Auditor Selection Committee must be a member of the governing body of an entity specified in this paragraph who shall serve as the chair of the committee. So it doesn't tell us otherwise what the makeup of those 3 members are. It definitely cannot be the chief financial officer of your city. We have in the next subparagraph that tells us we can't do that. So you could do it all yourself. The way I read this, because there is no provision that says what is the makeup of the other two members? And it says at least 3 members, so you could have more. You can have 5, the 5 of you. But you would have to appoint one of your, to be the chair of that committee. Obviously, my opinion, it would be your mayor, because, you know, he controls the rest of the parts of the meeting, so have the mayor act as the chairman of that particular committee. But I would say yes, start over again, it's the cleanest way to do it, and we'll just have to deal with that time delay.
And when you say start over, you mean put the bid out again?
Yes.
Oh, the whole thing again. We haven't seen the
You
bids
have to
yet.
establish the factors for the evaluation before you actually publicly announce the request for proposal.
Okay, I think they did that.
Yeah, no, there was what happened, I think, was they went back and they tried to revise, they said, well, we're gonna go home and revise the evaluation criteria. That was the big red flag for me. They had a criteria. They just were gonna revise it from home and then come back and say, okay, well, this is the new criteria after these people did the RFP based on the criteria that was presented to them first. I think we have to look at, I mean, I'm speculating too. Let's look at the paperwork first. I think we should just take it over. We cut a lot of the malarkey out of the way and we get this thing done pretty quickly.
Yeah, I don't want to make these firms, I mean, somebody just reprint it and send it as is, but I don't want to.
Because then they're gonna run, I mean, like.
I mean, we got a lot
Yeah.
of proposals in and it was,
I'm just telling you, though, that it's not a complete cure, because of the fact that you're not the committee that established the factors.
I see.
So there is that technical aspect of it that I, as a lawyer, am concerned about. And that's why I would say, that's why you're doing a do-over, because of the fact that the other technical aspects of the statute were followed in the first committee, having Mr. Douther being named as chairman of that particular committee. So if you're gonna do it right, you need to start over. So, and obviously, I would think that would be a concern by those people that have issued responses, because now everybody knows what the responses are, and maybe some adjustment. Maybe it's for the better, maybe it's for the worse as to cost involved and providing the services that they're suggesting. But you want to be the safest way, do it all over again. So if you've appointed your auditor selection committee by resolution, we need to have a resolution prepared, basically repealing the prior resolution. If they are appointed just by way of a motion here, you can do it by way of a motion again. But you can't do it at today's meeting because of the fact that this is a workshop. So if you give the city manager direction or I direction, I'll be happy to work with you on whichever direction you take it.
Well, if the auditor committee has to be the one that puts out the bid, develops the factors to put out bid, then we have to start over.
Yeah, and there's no reason we couldn't review the factors that they came up with and possibly even, use those.
Yeah.
You're going to have to fully vet them, though. You're not going to be able to just say, okay, well, they approved them, so they're good.
Oh, absolutely.
No. Go over.
Yes.
And I would like to say, Doug, you're so good at the financial end of this, I would rather you chair this.
I received no to this position one time. I'll be happy.
You're drafted.
I'll be happy to do it for you.
If that's okay with the rest of the board, because Doug's been very good at going over things with our budget and everything else we've run into financially in this city. He's been a big help. I think he's the guy to lead this charge.
Do we want to be the committee? And just bang it out?
I say yes. I hate to say it, we're going to have some special meetings on this to get it done, because we need to ramrod this thing on through. We're in a time crunch now. If it wasn't done correctly, we need to do that and be sure it is done correctly.
I'm gonna get with you. Okay. Get this worked out. And I'll have it, hopefully do it quickly enough.
Okay, good. Thank you. Is there any public comment on this?
Tom Edwards, resident. I was a member of that auditor committee, just to bring up some points for you. The factors that were designed, that were put out for the RFP was exactly what they did 5 years ago. All we did is look at it and tweak the date and a couple of words. But Mr. Trask, if you take a look at the one that was done 5 years ago and was put out, it was basically the same wording, and just a few things changed, updated. We were not aware of the statute at the time until it was brought to the attention, and obviously we thought the simple thing would be is to go ahead and appoint Mr. Dothert as the chairperson. The chairperson was selected because there was an accountant, a CPA, that was sitting on the committee, and that's how we recommended that he become a chairperson. When it came time for the proposal, for the proposals that came in that you saw, I was questioning because we had given a evaluation sheet. Now, I've sat on a committee with the county from several groups when we were making a decision on the new 911 calls that would be going out. So if we had a hurricane or child abduction, the county could put out an emergency call for a particular area. I sat on that committee and we did something very similar. We had a matrix that was done for an evaluation. And when we got here to Mr. What was opening the packets, I was questioning about the form we got. It's a matrix. And apparently it was the same type of thing they used in the previous one about 5 years ago. So my question was, it didn't say how to evaluate. What do you do? 1 through 5, 1 through 7. What is it, 1? Is that the best or the least? So that's what I was trying to get clarification on as to how we're going to do it so we're all doing the evaluation the same way. And also, if something was split, could we use a half point? I don't want to get down to quarter points or anything like that, but it was important to know. And when I looked at it, there was one thing that I saw that, it could be a half point. So that was one of the things I'm trying to clarify. And then the tally, I was trying to see, now it was Patrick that put the form together. And so I was just trying to get clarification as to how the tabulations were going to be. And so that some of the tabulations in certain categories were automatically going to tabulate down below. That's the only thing I was trying to get clarification on. So I just wanted to give you some of that background information on that. And what all you want to do is fine. The committee was only going to go ahead and try and narrow the field down from 7 to the top 3. You all make a decision, they would do a presentation, and then you go ahead and select the best group that you want to be the auditor for the next 3 to 5 years. I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have.
Tom, of course, the meetings will be open. Love to have you there to give us some input on this.
Well, I reviewed them. I took a lot of time to go through them. I even highlighted, made a spreadsheet up to try and evaluate them. I stopped my process. I did not turn my evaluation in. I think one of the other people did not either. A couple did. So
I specifically asked that everyone on the audit committee be notified to stop.
Right. And I did. Some people had already turned it in. Some people had already turned it in beforehand. Before they were told. But a couple of us, when we were told, because we had until Monday to go ahead and turn them in. So I know myself and one of the other people did not turn theirs in.
Yeah.
And Mr. Edwards, so any criticism that came wasn't directed at the residents at all. It was completely a procedural thing.
No,
nobody took offense to that because it was just, the way it was handled, it was Here we go. We're talking about this after the form. Whoa. You can't do it. So it was not, nothing. You guys did your job. I
Typically, the committee was on, we had kind of worked through all those processes before we got our proposals, and then we were ready to go. So that's why I had some questions, so that someone's given a 7 over here, when we should be doing 5 over here. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item is filling the vacancy of the city treasurer and advertising for the position. City manager Daniels.
Yes. Obviously, we're in the budget process, so we need to get some assistance in here to work out the situation. So I started checking with FGOA. I started checking with the City Managers Association. There were a couple people that I looked into. Both were outside the area, and it looked like they were going to try to do this more virtually than being here present. And when I talked to Mr. Trask, I keep diming you out, sorry, Tom. We talked about the situation because I know he has clients in other cities and represents them. And he said, well, let me go check with my partners and stuff. And I think it was like a day or so later, he came up with somebody for me to call. And it was the city manager over in Oldsmart. And he had a relationship with a gentleman that was also the financial director for Port Ritchie. And so he's basically a contract service person that goes in, they'll do the whole thing if you want, or we can hire him on the interim. So he was the best shot that I had. He's actually been here in the building. He met with Walt. I was trying to make sure that if we could get somebody here, that there could at least be somewhat of a handoff from where we're at. I talked with him about some of the shortcomings. He today sent in a contract that I'm going to forward to Mr. Trask. But here's my proposal to you, and again, this is clearly in your ballpark. But I'd like to bring him in on an interim basis. He's looking at the base salary of the finance director's position, which I think was about $9,000 a month, I believe. No benefits, obviously, it's a contractual thing. But I don't know what the exact amount is. I'll have that for you. But I'm looking to have the tenure being through the end of the fiscal year. That gives us time to advertise for a replacement for the city treasurer / finance director, and do the interviews and have a timetable where we can bring somebody on board. It's just critical to have somebody paying attention on a daily basis to our budget. It would entail him being here 3 to 4, or if necessary, 5 days a week. He'll be here at the meetings, just like Walt's been here at the meetings. But he'll be working out the budget. I'll be dealing with day-to-day direction of the staff with his, if he's not here that particular day. But we've kind of mastered Zoom, just in for staff purposes and stuff, and making sure that things are getting done on the timetable that we need to do. Primarily the trim notice. It's a lot of that is making sure that we get the publications correctly and the calculations done and the dates of the meetings and so forth. There's really a lot that goes into all that. So what I was going to proffer to you is trying this on an interim basis. That way we don't have to rush to try to bring somebody on board, to bring the right person on board that has a relationship with this commission and the relationship with staff. And so the gentleman's name is Andrew Laughlin. And he's got a lot of energy, a lot of knowledge, and he will be here on Monday. I was hoping, if you all agree with my strategy, and again, it's your decision to make, but that looks, if you agree with me, you think that's the best way of going at this juncture, I was going to ask if we could do a special meeting to approve his contract and get him on board and get him working here next week. So I'm going to send Tom the contract tonight, and he'll have it tomorrow when he gets in the office and he can take a look at it. So that's really what I had to offer. Other than that, I'm just going to keep looking for other people that can come here and sit in the seat on an interim basis at least, if you don't like the contractual idea.
I've got zero issue with that. I think contractually might be the way to go to fill it now, but I would like to interview him. I think we've done enough hiring off of resumes in the past that it hasn't worked out tremendously. So, yeah, I mean, if we can meet him, I mean, if you can set up interviews with him on Monday, say afternoon, all goes well, and then we could do a special meeting on Tuesday and appoint him and rock and roll if everybody agrees.
Can't do Tuesday, so if you don't have an objection, can we just do the interview at the meeting, and then worst case scenario, you don't like them, then I start off the next phase. We can, this way we can publish the meeting date, a special meeting, and then do it all in one shot. But
Well, I agree with that part. You can post a meeting for Monday. I don't know how you guys feel about this. I don't. Group interviews can kind of get a little dicey because you're not really getting. I'd like to, even if it's 15 minutes, I'd like to actually sit down with the person and chat with them for a little bit. And if we could do that an hour, I don't care if it's 2 hours before the meeting even starts, just give us an opportunity to meet the person one-on-one before we.
that's a great idea. We can do the one-on-one meetings and then do the special meeting and be done with the decision. I like that idea. Are you all available Monday afternoon? No. Okay.
Don't hold up on my account. I mean, I would like to talk to the person, but.
Are you available like Monday night? We can.
No, I leave Sunday, I'm back on Tuesday.
Okay. So Tuesday works better for you.
It'd have to be Tuesday later in the day.
Because I only have four of you right now, so it's up to y'all how you want to do it. I can see if he's available on Tuesday. I know he is planning on being here Monday as well. So we can do the interviews like Deputy Mayor mentioned.
Yeah, even if we go like every 30 minutes, have one of us meet with every 30 minutes or every hour if you want more time, Doug. And I could knock mine out of the way Monday or Tuesday.
Commissioner Price, are you available virtually? I'm not trying to push you. I'm just.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to think how I wasn't planning on bringing my laptop with me and work with it. Okay. I guess because Commissioner Dalford's gone.
And Commissioner Dalford could interview him by phone or virtually.
So on Monday, you're talking. I could do it virtually on Monday.
Okay.
I could do a special meeting. I could even call the guy and.
I mean, you can talk to him even beforehand. I can get you set up, tomorrow even. I'm not sure what his schedule is, but I can find out and, at least set it up for a telephone call with him, and then you all have an opportunity to do face-to-face with him.
Why don't we do that if that's okay with everyone? Is Commissioner Price, maybe you can interview him by phone or virtually between now and Friday.
Right.
And then we can set up when he comes in Monday for us 3 to interview him 30 minutes, just schedule them 30 minutes apart. And then we can have a special meeting Tuesday evening.
Yeah, he doesn't have to be here for the meeting. I mean, if we've already interviewed him, we could just have a special meeting just to vote on it, right?
Yep, sure.
Okay, I mean, we've already talked to him.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I think we need to get someone in here and get going.
So it's on Tuesday evening, I could be here in person. Okay.
And
But Tom's not.
Yeah, I just checked. I thought I had a conflict. I don't have a conflict. This is the 5th Tuesday of the month.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So
it is. What time?
I would say 6 o'clock, because you need it late anyhow, don't you? Commissioner Price?
I'm sorry?
You're not going to be back in town until the afternoon.
Till late
So
afternoon.
6 o'clock would work for you?
Yes.
Okay.
6 o'clock makes.
Is that, okay, is that okay with you, Commissioner Hodges also? And Doug, you're good? Okay. Any public comment? Okay, the next item is Crystal Isle project update. Al?
Good evening, Al Carrier with Dolan Associates. Here to give you a quick update on the Crystal Island project, answer any questions you may have at the end. So I'll go street by street. John's Pass, all the stormwater collection system is in, except for the outfalls. There's 4 outfalls that go between the residents' homes. The contractor's going to do those at the end of the project. So, but all the inlets are in, the collection system's in, the water upgrade is in. All the fire hydrants are in, and about half the curb was constructed about 2 weeks ago on the southern end of John's Pass. The first outfall they're looking to put in at the north end of John's Pass between the homes in about 3 weeks from today, 3 weeks from this week. The Lillian, all the storm is complete. That was completed this week. The water is almost done on Lillian. They have a little portion of the teardrop that needs to get constructed yet. And the big announcement, the curb on Lillian on the teardrop is scheduled to start on Monday. So the residents on Lillian is going to be similar to what their John's Pass residents went through a couple of weeks ago. They're going to close basically the teardrop from vehicular access for the residents. They're going to be able to park north of the teardrop, and the contractor will have barricades and stuff out showing them where they can park. From 7 in the morning to 7 in the evening, Gibbs and Register will run a little buggy shuttle service, and I believe the notice went out today. Gibbs and Register, I believe, put hang tags out this afternoon to alert all the neighbors on Lillian. After 7 o'clock, the city has a staff member who will run a shuttle and will be able to take people from 7 to 10 from their cars if they have to park up the road. It might be a quarter mile away and allow them to get back to their homes. If they have groceries or something like that, just make the phone call and we'll assist. Flamingo, the seawall is almost constructed. About 2 more weeks will be completely constructed. The culvert that goes under Flamingo on the east side between Lillian and John's Pass is almost complete. Once the seawall is completed in 2 weeks, then they'll go ahead and put the other culvert in that's located between Crystal and Lillian. Crystal Drive, they're going to start, or they did start the stormwater this week, putting those big pipes in the ground. The fire hydrants are being constructed this week also. And then they call it reclaim. So what they do is to assist whoever's putting the storm pipes in, they reclaim the asphalt. They grind it up and lay it back down. And that helps the pipe crew, so when they're digging, they don't have to dig through the asphalt in the base. So they're going to reclaim Crystal probably next week, as soon as the pipe crew gets ready to go. And they're just going to reclaim over where the storm line goes. They reclaimed all of Johnson, all of Lillian at the same time. They make did make a mess. But they're going to approach it differently for Crystal and just do it over the storm pipes. To date, the project is about 30 to 35% complete based on money in the ground. And there are 4 months into their 12-month contract. They're slightly ahead of schedule, but we have the rainy season coming up here, so.
Is the project, my question is the project on budget?
So far as on budget, yes, slightly.
We're ahead of schedule and slightly.
Slightly budget. Understood.
Okay.
I was just going to ask on Crystal, you're doing the road work a little bit differently on Crystal.
Yeah,
So
good
it's not gonna
point.
be like what you've done on Jones Pass and Lillian.
Yeah, so we talked about that. We had requested that they look at doing Crystal a little differently. They had, John's Pass Lillian, they had milled the entire roadway. We had requested that they operate it differently, like they're building Flamingo, for instance, they do one side at a time. So when they get to Crystal, we're asking one side of the road at a time in chunks, and they'll have the lights up. The two lights that's similar to on Flamingo, they'll have the same thing operating, so people will have to share one lane while they're doing Crystal Drive. When will the actual paving happen? When will the actual paving happen on Johns Pass Avenue? Don't look at 2 weeks ahead. On Johns Pass, first lift asphalt, mid-October. I was just curious. There is also, for people that don't know, there's a 2-week look ahead with work items that are to be done with the 2 weeks ahead, and then there's milestones where some of the things that really do impact the neighborhood, like the curb and the asphalt. Those are on here as well. Some of those are several months beyond, but they're on here to give people target dates. The city, Kurt does put that on the website, so you can go look at that. It's updated every 2 weeks. So if you have any questions, you can certainly call the number on the website. Tina, one of our crews out there, she's out there every single day. She's on site, so if residents have questions, you can walk up and ask her also.
I've had calls from several people who live over on John's Pass, and all of them have been very positive.
Good.
There was only one who was a little concerned about his curb. All the rest of them were very positive about the work that's been done.
Good. It was really a mess. And once they get the curbs in, it kind of gives everybody an idea what it's going to look like, and it kind of gives you that finishing look. So they're back in there now in John's Pass, starting to restore people's yards, fixing people's driveways. So it's going to come together pretty quick here. Right.
Looking forward to that. By the time you get to Crystal, you'll be all done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any public comment?
Mr. Mayor, before you adjourn, if I can just have a word with all of you just for a minute.
Sure.
I don't want to take you mid-word or mid-sentence. But obviously, there were some changes that were made yesterday at the meeting of the Pinellas County Commission. And they went to the, and it was a long meeting. They had a lot of public comment. And they went to the mask rule of wearing a mask. Now, they did leave in their order some opportunities for local government, if for our building and so forth. I continued with what they wanted done for the Department of Health and, really making a step. This is like the last resort that we have in fighting the virus. So, but obviously, if you all want to review that order and you want to set the rules differently and be more lenient, but I'm requiring my employees, all the employees and staff, and the public coming into the building, and we will be supplying masks for them if they don't have one. And I just think that's the best policy right now. And, we can address this as we go along. But if you have any problem at all with that policy, I'm more than happy to modify it, and, we can discuss it on the 8th at our regular meeting or at a special meeting if you'd like. So is there any feedback?
I think
Countywide.
county and the state, they have the experts, and I think we need to follow their lead. That's my opinion.
Okay. And just one other thing, when we have our special meeting, the local mitigation strategy program that they have here, and that's the one they rate projects that go through FEMA. And we don't have the county's plan adopted because the county just brought it forward. And I don't want to have a problem with any of the FEMA reimbursements. So if it's okay with you, I would like to add that to the special meeting and have Linda Portel explain the local mitigation strategy for you. It's a resolution that we would pass. And I'll get with Tom on that tomorrow as well. But if you all don't have a problem with adding that to that special meeting agenda, I'd like to do that as well and get it out of the way.
And that resolution has already been prepared, and, so it's ready to go.
Okay.
Okay. All right, is that it?
That's it.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned.
8:18.